Hello, Connective. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you don't know how I work, I pull a bunch of different cards from different decks that tell a story and we talk about it. If you like the content on this channel, feel free to subscribe. Don't smash anything. With that being said, let's get into this energy. This is a collective reading for Gemini. So these cards are shuffled, but Gemini, well, a couple things. The first thing is do something a little different today. I'm going to pull an extra card for you guys. I got a new deck from someone who's a Gemini. So as a thank you to all Geminis out there, I'm going to pull an extra card. I'll tell you what deck it is in a little bit. But also, you know, before I was starting your reading, I was getting just some mild impressions of things that I wanted to mention before this reading starts, because I have a feeling that that's probably going to be the theme. Usually when that happens, I keep quiet, but today I'm just going to say it. We'll see how this thing flows. So the first thing that I was getting was, well, a very grateful energy. You know, again, it kind of goes back to drawing the extra card as a thank you. You know, if you don't think that there's someone out there that's thanking you or thankful for you or grateful for you today, Gemini, I'm going to tell you to look harder. And also the other energy that was coming through was like an anticipation of something new. So I don't know what this reading is going to hold, but we're about to find out. I'm going to ask for jumpers on these. If they don't jump, we're going to pull them. And they are shuffled, so we can get into this. I have a lot of smoke around me, so I may be clearing my throat. I apologize ahead of time, Gemini. All right. Whoa. Come on. Okay. Okay. All right. We'll take them. We'll take them. All right. Let's see what's happening, though. Goodness. Is that just one? Okay. Got caught up in that trap before, thinking there's a card down there. Okay. All right. What do we got? Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Oh. All right. Let me just sort this out for a moment. Yeah. Okay. All right, we always like to talk about the angels first. So this is second chakra, Archangel Ariel. All right, second chakra. Or you can also identify with Ariel, Archangel Ariel. If you identify with this reading, this could be something. Okay, we'll just go with what I was talking about in the beginning of this reading, which is appreciation. This card is appreciation. We're going to put this underneath her. And woman holding a coin. So we have the woman holding the coin on this one. So could be a woman, could be a feminine energy, doesn't have to be, could be about money, doesn't have to be. So these are a little bit later. Okay, so we also have Goddess of the Moon. A lot of times I look at this card as like a, you know, like an intuitive card, kind of like if you're familiar with tarot, like the High Priestess kind of card. Also because it's the moon, which is, you know, like the unknown. It's like, to me, it all means the same thing. So to me, this could be a person or this could be something that's hidden or unknown. So we'll get back to that. We'll put her up here. And then, so since we're talking about people first, oh, yeah. Okay. So we'll go to her. So the thinking woman did come out, but she was the only card that appeared to kind of be sideways in my hand. So that or on the table. So that kind of looks at like indecision to me. So we're just going to put that there. And then, okay, if you've watched my channel before, you've seen this card. It's the Garden in the Gate. The Garden in the Gate is basically like, okay, you can't probably see it very well, but she's standing in front of this gate that's locked, but she has the key around her neck. The abundance is outside the gate. She has a choice. She can unlock the gate and go out, or she can stay where she is. But this card came out upside down. All right. So to me, you either don't have the choice or you're not taking it, but we'll get back to that because we need to combine it with these other cards and actually see what's going on. And then another persona for like the magician in the mirror. So a lot of times when I see this guy, It has a couple different meanings because he's got the fire and the water in his hands, but also he's the magician and he's got the mirror, or he is the mirror. And I regard that very heavily as an empath. You know, you're a mirror a lot of the time. I mean, there's other aspects to being a mirror, but for the most part, you're very aware of how people respond to you because it's something that they're feeling about nothing that you did. You know, it's something that's going on in their head kind of thing. So to me, that's the mirror. It also works in different ways, but you know, the magician in the mirror is kind of like he's mastered his craft and he's reflecting back to you. So usually this is kind of like an end of the reading. This is what you're working towards card. So I'm going to put that down here and pick up this card because this card's no fun. And we're not heading towards this. So we'll move that out of the end position here. And this is Broken Heart card. So, you know, I do feel like this needs to be somewhere in the middle because we have, okay, action. So moving forward, somebody either needs to move forward or has moved forward. We'll find that out. And we have adjacent possibilities, which is always kind of like, I'm moving in this direction, but I have so many other choices. I might not see them, right? Or I might need to create them instead of just, you know, doing one thing or going one way, and we'll talk about that card more. And then we have the Temple Path, which to me is always like spiritual awakening. You're on a spiritual awakening, you know, you're moving towards something actively. You're not just awakening and moving at no pace. Like this is like you're moving at a pace, even if you're not doing anything, right? But you probably are, or somebody's calling you for you to do it. So let's find out what that is. So we're going to ask Alice the Wonderland. Again, these cards are shuffled. I just want to move them around. They were super cooperative when I was shuffling them before your reading, Gemini. So hopefully they'll be super cooperative while we're talking, because I feel like already there's too many cards on the table, but we'll see what's going on. Okay, I'm just going to stop right now and tell you that this is the card that fell out when I was shuffling earlier. This is the reason why I said that anticipation of new things to come. This card says, I wonder what will happen next. Let's see if any more come out. We're going to start that over again because that's remarkable. That's the only card that came out when I was shuffling for your reading. But this happens to me all the time. And that's why I've started to really take notice of what's happening because, you know, honestly, I shot a video for like Scorpio and I was talking about this card that keeps coming out in all my readings in the beginning of the reading. And I didn't even realize until I watched that video later that as I was shuffling in the beginning of that reading, that card was on the bottom of the deck just showing itself and then ended up popping out later. So, and this was the same card that had fallen out when I was shuffling before the reading. And again, this happens to me all the time. So we're going to start talking about it more. We're going to call it out. All right, so I'm going to finish going through it this time. And if nothing else pops, I'm going to pull 2 more off the bottom. So we have Changed in the Night. I've seen this one before, other readings. And this is We're All Mad Here. We've seen this card too. Wow. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to pull the moons. I'm just going to get the cards on the table because we're going to also pull from an extra deck today. So we always pull 3 moons. Moons give us the messages, but also if there's other zodiac signs involved. So let's see what's going on for you, Gemini. This is already a really interesting reading, actually. There's a lot of opportunity, abundance, stuff. Some of it's not seen, and some of it came because you had to go through something, and you might have even lost some stuff. But you were always on this course that you may or may not know about. Wow. So we'll just, you know, I wonder what will happen next is pretty obvious. Wow, we're just going to go through that. We're going to finish this because now it's acting crazy. It was so beautiful earlier. It was like shuffling all pretty. Anyway, I wonder what will happen next. You know, we'll get back to that as far as what message comes out. But right here, Changed in the Night, there's a couple of cards in this deck that denote, well, probably more than a couple, but definitely 2 distinct cards. We're going to pull off the bottom. And Changed in the Night kind of reminds me of instant change. Like even though a lot of times, you know, the instant change may have brought about a lot of momentum over the course, like you built up to that, there's your change. And sometimes I've said before that it can look to people on the outside like you changed instantly, but for you it was like this whole process that took a lot of time, right? So, you know, I think it was Tony Robbins that said, you know, your whole life changes in an instant, you know, but sometimes it takes you 5 years to say, you know, it's over, I love you, you know. But once you say it, everything changed in the night. So to me, this is like changed overnight, or like an instant change, because a lot of people, I've said it before, don't like change. Did we do this already? I think we did. We're getting ready to pull them, so let's cut them again. Wow, that's interesting. Probably just get the same cards anyway. This is New Moon in Gemini. Think it through. Look at you showing up in your own reading. What else we got? New Moon in Gemini. Think it through. And you're right underneath that thinking woman, which is sideways, undecided. This is New Moon in Libra. Know you are loved. So a little bit support there, right, from the moons. This is a process. And then first quarter moon in Scorpio, release your blocks. Okay, so this card coming out tells me that besides, you know, this magician in the mirror, which I do consider to be a reward, that rewards are coming from this. It's not just about the temple path, you know, I mean, that is a reward. But there's a lot of possibilities here to what it could be, depending on what you're asking for. Again, this is pretty general. I'm not getting like an impression of a specific situation. So let's pull the blind spot before we pull the extra card, because these are shuffled. They were acting real nice earlier, but sometimes. So yeah, I want to get all the cards on the table because I want to see what else is going on actually. Let's see. I'm just going to pull this one off the bottom and see what it is. 62. So let me show you the sigil for that one. And of course, we're going to see what 62 is. So we can talk about it a little bit, but we're going to talk about it more in the extended. There will be an extended. The link will be in the description. 62. So this is your blind spot in whatever it is you're dealing with. So this particular situation. Oh, okay. All right. 62 is denying death. Now, this could be someone that you know, but I'm not taking it that way from this, because I mean, it could be, because, you know, this card could represent both. Like, you have the broken heart on the table, but I feel like it's the death of a relationship, you know, because, I mean, we're all mad here. And I wonder what will happen next is kind of like the feeling. These Alice the Wonderland cards, they're kind of like what your perception would be while you're in whatever is going on. So it's one of those things where I don't feel like those sentiments would go along with someone who's passed. I mean, again, it could. But again, you know, I don't know where this action card would fit in. So this really looks to me like a relationship. And it could be a relationship with another Gemini, or it could be a relationship with a Libra or a Scorpio. So there's that involved too. And then again, the reminder of know you are loved. A lot of times when we get out of relationships, especially if we don't have like a strong support base or any support base, we don't feel loved, like as we're like sort of maybe you know, I was going to say shoved aside. I don't really mean that, you know, but let's just put it mildly, as someone kind of walks away from the situation, we can feel unloved, you know. This passion, and I mean, the second chakra means a lot, you know, but to me, this is kind of like the loss, you know. I mean, she's coming up in upright because I think, you know, she's telling you to, you know, keep your passion. One of the things that I noticed when I was exiting relationships is sometimes I would feel like I was holding on to a piece of myself. And it might have been a piece that was maybe ridiculed by that other person, or it might have been, you know, a piece that I just maybe didn't want to acknowledge, or something that like resulted from the relationship itself. So like some kind of piece of myself that was developing as a reaction of the end of that relationship kind of thing, you know, and I would kind of like want to let things go. But sometimes I would notice, especially in situations where I felt like a fool, that I wanted to let go of stuff that, or I maybe tried or thought of letting go of stuff that I felt worked to my detriment in that situation. So let's see. Well, sometimes, you know we're just too giving, especially if you're an empath and you just know, you give too much. You already know it's gotten you in trouble before, and you still do it, sorry. But, this is one of the things where people will actively say, I do this. I put myself aside for other people, and, I suffer for it occasionally. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to use this card to tell you that you do have other choices, okay? It doesn't have to be that way every time, and you do not have to, again, undecided. You do not have to put that scenario that you just mentioned in motion every single time. You don't have to do that. You have choices, first of all, okay? You don't even really need to think about it, right? And in some cases, you're putting your ass out on the line, right? You know that whatever decision you're making, you're letting someone drive something expensive of yours that if they wrecked it, they couldn't replace. Whatever the thing is, that's just a, mild, like concrete explanation, but it could be anything. It could be, motions. It could be anything. People know, I let myself get too involved and I let this person take advantage. Again, you do have choices. And if you've seen what it looks like before, you can see what it looks like in the new relationship, even if it shows its head in a different way. Even if it looks like a magic trick, you can still see it. If you've healed from it, then you can see it. If you haven't healed from it, then there's a possibility that you're going to drag it into your next relationship, or you're going to drag it into, whatever relationship you had. It's funny that I wanted to put those cards face down, right? Broken heart and adjacent possibilities. Let's just not even look at that, right? So, this card here, this garden in the gate upside down, kind of tells me that, maybe it's the indecision that's keeping you from, actually moving forward. Because I feel like this relationship is ended, We've got changed in the night, which means it's done, right? And realistically, this is kind of like what I was talking about. This is that I wonder what will happen next card, because it's kind of like, every time I feel like there is an ending, a lot of people who do sort of, I was going to say people who are more cerebral, but just people who think, think more things through. Where's that card? The Geminis that think things through. The automatic question does kind of seem to be, I wonder what will happen next. I wonder what's going to happen next. I wonder what's either going to happen in the next relationship, or I wonder what's going to happen, in my life now that there's this huge change. I mean, sometimes when we live with people and we separate from them, we have that issue, right? And sometimes it'll confuse us as to what we should do next. Again, because maybe we're even confusing ourselves about who we should be. And we're all mad here. It's very hard to see the pieces of you that weren't wrong when someone else is wrong and they're telling you that you're wrong. Because even the best of people who, pride themselves in being good people, they're gonna ask themselves, was I this way to this person? Did I really do that? It's gonna cause you to question maybe who you are. maybe what you could have appreciated about that relationship because it was harder than it needed to be. A lot harder than it needed to be, right? You do still have choices. And, you know, if there is money involved, well, it could be a money block, actually. It's weird. If there's money involved in this relationship, it's a very good possibility that if you lost something, like monetary or, you know, something of value that's tangible, it could be something you brought with you into this relationship. It might not be this relationship. If you know that you've had situations like that before where you couldn't hold on to money, this relationship didn't screw you. You came in with that. Release your blocks. Okay. You're going somewhere better anyway. Even if you don't know if you want to go. If you can't see it, you know, if you don't want to go anywhere because you're like, no, you do need to find the appreciation in your when your relationships end, even if everybody's mad. You could be mad angry, and it could just be mad weird, or just some people, sometimes they do stuff. Sometimes they're not as crazy as they seem. Sometimes they do stuff because they're trying to get you to go away. And you don't realize it because you're attached to that person, you love that person, whatever thing is there that's keeping you in a relationship that might be hurting your feelings or more, right? Sometimes they just act crazy because they know that at some point it's gonna be done. And they're just trying to end it early. Like they're trying to they don't want to experience the pain of the ending. And this is just one scenario, but they don't want to experience the pain of the ending. And so they're just going to end it on their terms. They wouldn't admit it that it's on their terms. Yeah, I think it would be more of like, well, let me just get this over with. It's unbearable to wait for the ending kind of thing. But it really is like a control issue. You know, they're taking action when they don't actually need to. And like I said, in those situations, know you are loved. Don't let this person choose your value, whatever changes in the night. Because again, when you're, looking at your situation, how you are, how somebody says you are, how somebody was to you, and you haven't processed who you need to be to put up with their crap or who they need to be to treat you like crap, then it's really hard to see the big picture there. It's hard to have appreciation too for the thing that you're supposed to learn in it so that you don't repeat it. You walk away with this not knowing, right? You get into another relationship not knowing. And then, sometimes it's passionate and then sometimes it's not because you haven't healed from this other thing. And when you went forward, you didn't look at what would happen next that would, be more fun. You didn't when you looked at it, you still looked at it like we're all mad here. And so when you went forward into it, you went into it with blocks. And this could be before this relationship. This could be after this relationship. It's not specific here on the table. Sorry. So this whole place is full of smoke right now. It's just full of sage. So let's pull this last card. There are like guidance in the book for this card, but we're not going to read it here. We'll do that in the extended. So we'll talk more about the blind spot in the extended, and then we'll talk about the guidance in the extended for this extra card that we're pulling for Geminis. Again, this is a deck that I got from a friend of mine for my birthday, and who's a Gemini, and honestly, she's like my best friend. And I wanted to, like I said, honor you guys with a thank you. Again, appreciations on the table. Very appreciative for these cards. And this is the Dragon Oracle cards by Diana Cooper. So I do have another dragon deck. Incidentally, Anita Morjani put out this little program where you take this little quiz and you find out like what kind of empath you are. And I happen to be a dragon empath. So I've been kind of watching the dragon cards, and I do have another deck that actually gives you like specific dragons. This one does too, but this one's a little different. And so yeah, we're gonna see if we can get a jumper for the Geminis. This is just special for you guys. We might bring them out later. I mean, we will, but for these readings, I try to minimize the amount of cards I pull because I talk a lot. I'm trying to keep my videos, you know, not an hour. So what we'll do is, I have no idea if these are good jumpers. They feel good. I mean, they feel like they definitely could jump, but we'll go through it one more time, and if it doesn't jump, we'll go ahead and pull one. Special message for Gemini. Does this dragon deck want to talk? Give us a special message, or should we pull off the bottom? Let's see what's up. Okay. All right. So we have the silver dragon. And illuminates your potential with higher light. Yeah. I think that this reading is really telling you to strive, that there's a lot of places that you can go, places that you can't even imagine, you know, because of this mostly, but, you know, also because of this, you know, I mean, if we choose not to learn from this, and cycles repeat, you know, we can get very like confused about what relationships are supposed to be and what love is supposed to be, or whatever. Doesn't even really matter what kind of relationship. But, you know, if we're just trying to take our cues from people who aren't well balanced, who aren't nice to us, who, you know, in some cases don't even care. They might have at one time, you know, and you're loved by someone. I mean, there's a lot of people. It's hard to like sit here and, you know, some people don't believe in their guardian angels or their ancestors protecting them or trying to help them along. Like, you're loved by these people. And, you know, you may not think it, and you may not realize what you have that could be coming to you. But, you know, again, this card isn't on the table for nothing. A lot of times you have to take action. You have to make a decision. You can't be on the fence. Where's that card? It's got to be in my hand. Yeah, you can't be on the fence about, you know, who you are and where you're going. Not if somebody's going to push at your perception of your persona, tell you who they think you are, and then try to get you to believe that so that they can get out of it without any kind of, you know, responsibility. They don't have to take responsibility. If you take your responsibility for your part, I always say that. I don't know sometimes if you guys don't know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, put it in the comments, and we could really talk about it. Because even in a situation where you were severely oppressed, if you could leave the house, if you could physically leave the house, then you have a responsibility in it. And I'm not talking about like, I couldn't do that, I didn't have the money. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you could physically get up and leave the house, if you were not being held captive, then you had a part in whatever relationship, however that went down, whatever situation occurred, because you were there. Took me a little while to realize that too. I'll be honest with you, Gemini. It was when I wanted to stop being hit. And I realized, oh, if I'm not there, right? So, I don't know if this is that. We'll pull some healing cards in the extended, and if something like that comes up, we'll discuss it. But that also applies to, you know, emotions. It could be something as simple as somebody withdrawing their love. It doesn't have to be physical, anything. So I'm going to talk more about your blocks. We're going to talk more about the silver dragon, and we'll pull those healing cards, and we'll talk more about the blind spot. So if this is your reading, Gemini, meet us over at the extended, and if not, until we meet again,